Left. Pace. Reset forward. March.
Lieutenant. Good team. Go.
Hold run.
Halt. Half left. Right.
Good morning and thank you for coming. My name is Mark Vitunskas. I'm a sergeant with the 1434th Engineer Company out of Michigan. I serve in the Michigan Army National Guard. I'm married to my beautiful wife Susan. I have 3 wonderful boys, and I am a veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom. It's a great honor for me. It's a great honor for me to stand before you as Master of Ceremonies for this event that honors our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. I also have the pleasure of introducing the President of MCC and other distinguished guests from the college. At this time, will you please give a warm welcome to the 10th President of Muskegon Community College, Dr. Dale Nesberry.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here this morning. I very much welcome our military veterans, current military service members, and those who are with us today. This day is something that's important, I think, to all of us. To me personally, my father was a World War II veteran, and was one of the reasons that I'm doing the things that I'm doing today. I learned from him and his behaviors and the skill set that he provided, given his time in the U.S. Army. Veterans Day, if you were not aware, was created as a result of the signing of the armistice after World War II ended. It was an agreement between the United States and Germany, and is now a holiday that's celebrated on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of each year, which is when the original armistice was signed. And I think it's important to us and wonderful that this event has taken shape here at the college, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I will now turn it back over to our Master of Ceremonies, and we'll move on with the event. Thank you, sir.
You can all be seated, unless you want to keep standing. All right, Nancy Frye currently serves as a Muskegon Community College Board of Trustees and as the board secretary. She is active in her community and has served as county commissioner. Nancy is a proud veteran of the United States Air Force, where she has served as a sergeant, a court reporter, and as an administrative specialist. Please welcome Nancy Frye.
It's wonderful to see you here today. So I know it's time out of your lives. There's a lot of things you could be doing, but you're here to recognize veterans and those who have gone before us as well. So I'd like to say a special thank you to the veterans who are here today, and you'll be recognized further on in this ceremony, and also those who are on active duty, those who are serving around our country today. Let's keep them in mind as well. It was only 11 days ago. The news on television reported that the National Guard had arrived in Manhattan to help the victims of Hurricane Sandy. Later we heard the National Guard is now assisting firemen in putting out rapidly progressing fires in New York City. Sandbags are being put in place to keep the waters back, and 1 million meals are being distributed to the elderly by the National Guard. Too often, I'm afraid, we remember the military only in times of war and forget how they serve our communities during emergencies around the world. Since the year 1919, once called Armistice Day and now Veterans Day, is a day to celebrate and honor those who have served in the United States of America Armed Forces, in the reserves, and on active duty. Today, there are 23 million veterans in our adult population. Let that number kind of move around in your mind. There are 23 million veterans today who are living in the United States of America. I'm especially pleased that Muskegon Community College assists veterans in pursuing their continuing education. With previous military training and now taking advantages of learning opportunities, veterans have much to offer the workforce and the success of any community. On Memorial Day, we remember those military veterans who served and have since died. Veterans Day honors all veterans. It is intended to thank living veterans for dedicated and loyal service to our country. Veterans have earned the respect that they deserve. In closing, I want to tell you about a phone call that I made last week. It was to find out about a fellow veteran by the name of Gene, who years ago had retired from the Army. During his time of military service, Gene was given the Silver Star of Valor and more than one Purple Heart. He received numerous injuries in battle. Gene had been a chaplain at my American Legion post in Whitehall, Michigan. I say had been the chaplain because Gene now faces another battle in his life. The aggressor this time is Alzheimer's disease. I let the phone ring until his wife June picked it up, and I said, "How are things going?" "Well," and then, "How is Gene?" "It's very difficult for both of us," she said. "It's a challenge every day to see where he is at in his mind." Toward the end of our conversation, I told her how much Gene's service to our community and fellow veterans had made a difference in lives. Gene had participated in many funerals of those who were veterans and often gave spiritual advice to those who were in need. She responded how Gene's pride in serving our country remains in his conscious mind. His closet, he pays particular attention to where his uniform hangs. And anytime there's something on television with someone who's wearing a military uniform, he will move up close to the screen and look at what the medals and the service insignias are. Gene, who prayed for others, now needs our prayer. This Veterans Day, November 11th, 2012, one day of the year, it'll be coming up on Sunday. I ask you to reach out and to thank at least one of the 23 million veterans who are alive today. Veterans who have served our country. Remember veterans such as Gene, along with veterans in veterans hospitals and the homeless that are on the streets and those that are serving overseas now in times of war. They should never, never, never be forgotten. May our world leaders seek peace, not war, and with their accumulated knowledge, draw on the wisdom of God in order to make this world, our global world, a better place for all. God bless you, and God bless America and our world. Thank you.
MCC has provided a token of appreciation to Nancy's service in the military.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
With 9 years of enlisted service in the Army, 2 deployments to Iraq, 1 Bronze Star with Valor, and a Purple Heart recipient, Sergeant James Potter is an asset to this country and MCC. Would you please welcome Sergeant James Potter?
Hi, everybody. My speech isn't going to be as awesome as yours was. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. My name is Sergeant James Potter. I'm a little nervous. I don't usually speak in front of people too often. Usually when I am doing that, I'm usually yelling. So I was born here in Muskegon. I graduated from Mona Shores High School. I actually work here at Muskegon Community College on third shift. I'm a custodian. Veterans Day to me is a time for all of us to get together and thank veterans of the past, the present, and the future. The future is right there. We see you guys. Good job out there today. I'm going to tell you a couple stories about me. I'm going to tell you about my 2 deployments over to Iraq. The first one was OIF 06-08. I didn't make it all the way to the 08 part. On May 26, 2008, at approximately 11:58 a.m., my truck and our convoy was hit by a 4-stack of what we call EFPs, explosive formed penetrators. Everybody in the truck was injured this day. I was the gunner at this time. It's kind of a hard subject for me to talk about in front of people. Nobody realized the truck was hit. We were in the middle of a conversation, and I didn't even realize the truck was hit. And just came a time where I thought it was too hot in the truck, so I jumped out of the top of the truck. And I kind of stumbled around, and we were right inside of Solder City, and I knew that was a bad place to be, especially in 2007. It was the most dangerous city in Iraq at that time. And when I turned around, I seen that the whole truck was just engulfed in flames. So I went back to the truck. When I opened the passenger side front door, our squad leader, Sergeant Krisha Brown, was up on her knees trying to climb over a burning radio mount because she couldn't get out. She's fine. She's married now. She lives in Chicago, Illinois. Once I got her out of the vehicle, I ran around the other side, and in the back was our interpreter. His name was Kiwi. He was Kurdish, but he was born and raised in Germany. He spoke 11 languages. He was 21 years old. Kiwi's face was so burnt that his eyelids were melted shut. He couldn't see where he was. When I got Kiwi out of the truck, I sat him down and told him to sit still, and everything was going to be okay. The driver of the truck, all I could hear was him screaming. When I opened the door, all I seen was fire. I reached in to grab him.
That's okay. Come on.
I injured myself further getting him out of the truck. When I went to reach in to grab him, I couldn't move one of my hands. I was injured from the elbow down. They almost took my arm from the elbow down because how bad it was injured, but it works now. When I got him out of the truck, he was missing both of his legs. I pulled him as far away from that truck as I can get him. And I held his hand, and I held it, and I told him everything was going to be okay. I was yanking his arm all over the place, trying to get a tourniquet off my vest so I could stop the bleeding in his legs. And he just looked at me, and he just kept saying, "Potter, Potter, Potter." And he finally stopped talking. And I thought he was gone. Well, they came and carried him away. 2 weeks later, I was in a hospital in North Carolina, and my phone rang, and it was him, Sergeant Philip Labonte. He asked me what I remembered that day, and I told him I remembered everything. When I asked him what he remembered, he told me he remembered everything. And I said, "There's no way you could have remembered everything." He said, "You stopped talking to me." And he said, "I stopped talking to you because you looked like you were scared. And my arm was broken and you were yanking it all over the place." And he's a real American hero. Proud to say that I know him. And even though he lost both legs, he's got a really great spirit about it. He went down to Fort Sam down in Texas. And he said losing his legs was the best thing that ever happened to him. And it's kind of a funny story because there was an intern working at the hospital in Fort Sam, and she taught him how to walk on his prosthetics. Then they're married now, and they're expecting a third baby. Yep. And that day I received a Purple Heart for my injuries, and then I received a Bronze Star of Valor for going back for my friends. And 2010, I returned to Iraq for Operation New Dawn 10 and 11. I was offered the opportunity to drive through Baghdad, past Solder City one last time, and I drove through there with my head held high, proud, not one fear in the world, almost hoping they would start something. But I'm glad they didn't. And, it was my redemption. And I also got to say that I got to save other people on my second deployment. I received an Army Commendation Medal on my second deployment for over 200 combat missions, and I received another one for finding 2 IEDs on the side of the road that saved other convoys in an area we weren't supposed to be at in the first place. So I want to say thank you to all the veterans here today, all the veterans of the future, and to all the veterans that I've worked with in my past. Thank you.
Each of the military services has a song that is recognized as their own. Today, the Muskegon Community College Jaywalkers, a student-organized ensemble of our vocal music area under the direction of Mr. Thomas Clark and accompanied by Artie Bolthouse, will lead us in those songs and hymns. As we sing each of those, if you would please, I'll announce them before we get to them, and if you would stand, be recognized for each of the branches of service as you hear your song. If the active, reserve, and retired members of the United States Army would please stand for the caisson song.
We have hit the dusty tread, and those caissons will right down, hear the wagon soldiers shout, and those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high he in the field artillery, call off your numbers loud and strong. And wherever we go, you will always know that those caissons are rolling along.
If the active, reserve, and retired members of the United States Coast Guard would please stand for Semper Paratus.
We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, I shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our God, our fame and glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die, by Coast Guard we're all for you.
If the active, reserve, and retired members of the United States Marine Corps would please stand for the Marines hymn.
To the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea.
First we'll fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
If the active, reserve, and retired members of the United States Air Force would please stand for the Air Force song.
Climbing high into the sun, here they come, soon to meet our thunder, and the boys give her the gun. Down we dive, sweating our flames from under, off with one hell of a roll. We live in fame, we're down in flame, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force.
And if the active, reserve, and retired members of the United States Navy would please stand for Anchors Aweigh.
Anchors aweigh, my boys, anchors aweigh. Farewell to College George, we sail at break of day. Through our last night on shore, drink to the foam. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home.
Thank you, veterans, very much.
Sergeant Robert David Bowyer is an Army veteran. He has served 2 tours with 173rd Airborne Brigade in Afghanistan as both infantryman and a parachute rigger. He has served several years on active duty and is in the Army Reserves as known in the Army Reserves as a psychological operations tactical operator. He is married to a wonderful woman named Dana and has 2 children, Kayla and Logan. Robert's goals is to achieve associates in the science and arts from MCC and move on to Grand Valley to pursue his bachelor's in history. After he has his bachelor's, he will be applying for his commission in the U.S. Army. Please welcome Sergeant Robert David Bowyer.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I had a bit of a speech prepared, but what do you say after the last 2 people spoke? Just wow. Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, ma'am. I was asked to speak today about being a veteran student, and I just wanted the opportunity to talk about what it's like for us veterans here on school or throughout the community. You know, we come in various shapes, sizes, age, race, sex, and I'd like all my veterans that are here in the room today to please stand up, and I'd like for everyone to look around real quick. Thank you. Thank you. You know, for many veterans, every day is Veterans Days for us, and today is just a day that our country looks at it. But for a lot of us, every day we walk around and we see something that reminds us of our service and those that we served with. For being a veteran, the part that I'm the most proud of isn't that when somebody looks at me and says, thank you, you know, you're a hero. I'm not. I served with heroes. They're the people who didn't come home. They're the people who pulled burning bodies out of a vehicle. They're my brothers who went off to war and didn't come back. And every day is a reminder of those. And when I see or hear a story like that, you talk about triggers. Wow, you know, I can't imagine having to deal with that and the struggles that I have. I was always a little to the left or a little to the right. And this man's in the middle of it. And I struggle tremendously every day. But MCC has given me a purpose and a driven that I never thought I was capable of. I came to this school broken and was wounded from what I went through, and I came home and I felt that my country was very ungrateful. But it turned out I was just not seeing those who were. And I started taking classes here because my wife dragged me into one, and I realized I could be something and I could do more and I could continue on. And I'm so grateful for this experience that MCC has given me, that I was able to come here. I was a DF student in school, and now I'm getting A's and I'm getting academic honors, and it's all because of the people that support me and motivate me. All the Americans who thank me, all these soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines. This young man over here, wow, am I motivated, you know? And I'm just so grateful for this experience to speak today about that. And just, I ask one thing of you. So every day when you come across a veteran, whatever branch, whenever they served, combat, not combat, when you thank them or you say something, just be sincere behind it. And just be grateful for what they did. Ask them what they did. You know, I'm just so thankful for all you that came out to support us today and to stand here and hear these stories. And like I said, I'm almost speechless after what they've said. And I'm just grateful for this opportunity. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for that, Sergeant. Donald J. Goodman is a retired MCC instructor with degrees from University of Illinois and Michigan State University. He is also a co-author of The Diamond in the Rough. Please welcome Donald J. Goodman.
Dr. Nesberry and guests and fellow veterans. I was in the Army from 1952 to 54. And in fact, Ike was my commander-in-chief. And later on, I voted for him. Well, not this week. If you don't give specific, if you ask a writer to talk and you don't give him specifics, likely he's going to talk about something he wrote. And I'm going to. The book you don't know about, that Jack Rice and I did, tells about Muskegon junior college in World War II. This is it. And I'm just going to tell you a few things from it. A small mid-American junior college is not the source of generals. Although there's no record of the Muskegon Junior College students who served in the armed forces in World War II, the 25 students who died represent those who bore the brunt. One major, he was the first to be killed, 2 captains, 10 lieutenants, 1 petty officer, 1 ensign, 2 sergeants, 7 privates, and 1 flying cadet. For this college, it was primarily an air war. Of the first 10 MJC students killed, 8 perished while flying for the U.S. Army, Navy, or Marine Corps. There was no Air Force at that time. Of the 25 killed in all, 17 died in flight. 24 of their names almost appear on a plaque up the stairs. There's 23, and I haven't checked to see who's missing. In our book, we also included Lieutenant William Sherman, although he died 7 months after the war was over, flying home in his B-29. He was incidentally a meteorologist, and this B-29 was specially equipped. I'm pretty sure that most weathermen don't think they're going to get killed in combat, but he did go down. MJC students died in the sands and mud of Corregidor, North Africa, France, the Philippines, Okinawa, Germany, Iwo Jima. And they died someplace out on the ocean. They were shot out of the skies over Guadalcanal, Germany, the North Sea, and Iwo Jima. Training and maneuvers were even dangerous. They died in plane crashes in California, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Washington, the Panama Canal Zone, and 18 miles off the coast of Atlantic City. And they flew a bomber into a mountain in Africa. One of the deadlier bodies of water for Navy pilots, by the way, claimed 250 American fighters and bombers, and by the way, 21 pilots, and not a single Axis plane. You know that body of water? You swim in it, Lake Michigan. 7 days a week, winter and summer, Navy pilot flyers practice landing Wildcat fighters and Dauntless dive bombers on dangerously abbreviated decks built on 2 antique side-wheeler steamboats, churning the icy waters off Chicago's Navy Pier. 3 landings, 3 takeoffs comprised the final exam. The best-known pilot who qualified was future President George Bush. They started military flights before the war, before we got into the war. The government decided they wanted something like 11,000 trained pilots, and Muskegon Junior College was one of the first. They took off, they flew in Sidney Sinclair's J-2 Piper Cub, and they actually started in February 1940. Took them 2 weeks before they flew it into a snowbank. And they just changed the prop, fixed up they didn't have skis, they had tubes, and they just hammered those out and told the pilot, go try again. In 1941 in the Pacific area, the U.S. had 3 fighter planes. They ranged from inadequate to pathetic to staggeringly defective. 2 of them, the Buffalo and the Aracobra, later made the world's worst aircraft list. The best of the bunch by far, the F-4F Grumman Wildcat, chunky, clip-wing, knock-kneed, and bow-legged on the ground, was obsolete in many ways. For instance, while taking off or landing, the pilot had to hand crank the landing gear 28 turns using pinion gears and bicycle chains to get the wheels up or down. But although the F-4F could not ordinarily dogfight the Zero and win, it could strike quickly from higher up, from above, and take a lot of punishment. The P-39 Bell Airacobra was the slickest looking plane on the runway, resembling a rocket. It fired a cannon out of its nose, and that was good, but that was it. The rest of the airplane was pathetic. Constructed as congressional pork against good advice, that sounds familiar, the P-39 hardly qualified as a moving target. The P-39s on Guadalcanal were even worse. Besides the fact that many of them lacked such fundamentals as tachometers, fuel gauges, or temperature gauges, they had no usable oxygen equipment. They were pretty good for shooting up landing barges and tanks. The last and worst of the Marine and Navy fighters was Brewster Buffalo, a blood-clumsy, wallowy tub of a fighter, overweight and underpowered. The U.S. Navy sent up 19 at the Battle of Midway in spring 1942. It took 20 minutes for the enemy to tumble 17 of the 19 into the Pacific. The next year, the U.S. Navy walked into the plant and shut it down. At the college, the draft eventually vacuumed up most of the males. They, in 1944, there were 14 students who graduated. You know how many were men? None. They had all females. They started to call it a female academy. Incidentally, there was an offer made in the bay window, and this is what they said. And an offer has come to this desk from 2 eligible males for their services tomorrow night to any 2 girls with a car, a C card, nobody had a C card, and $1.50 each. Also, the girls must like to bowl. Anyone interested is advised to contact either Ernie Vector or Bob Rucheski. You know, I tried to catch Bob Rucheski a number of times and ask him if he got any takers, but I kept forgetting about it. In the country, I love this quote. This is from a correspondent telling about life here. War has its terrible, scaring joy. It's the joy of knowing that there is in oneself and in one's people more than was ever dreamed. Great unreleased energies, a kind of laughter, open-throated, vigorous, coming from the very bowels. 2 figures are of interest here. In 1942, Japan manufactured 8,891 planes. The U.S. manufactured 49,000. Well, they fought the war, and they won the war. The United States has no national religion. Even a small town like Muskegon lists, at last count, 192 diverse churches and chapels, temples, tabernacles, halls, and whatnots. No national church. But in the 1930s and 40s, the country did have an unquestioned national faith, education. Path to a better existence, the bulk against future hard times. Education was the way, the truth, and the light. And we did have at that time an official shrine for that faith, college. When the nation set about in 1945 to reward its heroes, it did not choose commemorative coins, a chair, a chariot, a laurel wreath, a concubine, a holy relic. It chose instead the most valuable thing it knew. It chose college. It chose the GI Bill. Since first we published, some dozen years ago, when we all went to war, and that's this book. And if you want to know more about this, see me later after everything's over. Since we first published it, my friend, colleague, and fellow author Jack W. Rice has passed away. He who helped win the fight with the Axis lost the fight with cancer. Jack was the best lecturer, speaker, and role player I have ever known. He was on stage all his life, and proud of it. 6 months before his death, he told me his favorite role had been the King in The King and I. You know, Don, that was his version of my name. You know, Don, the King chose when to die. I'll choose when I am ready. And God said, okay. As I reflect on my own teaching career, especially my 26 years here, I'm amazed and humbled that I was able to work, teach, learn, and write with the very men and women who absolutely saved Western civilization from the most evil people on earth. My fellow faculty were at Normandy on D-Day, flew combat photo missions, an especially equipped P-38 fighter, that was Bill Harrison, fought across Europe and met the Russian army in Germany, that was Gordy Martini. led a U.S. Marine mortar platoon at the base of Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima while the flag was being raised. That was Bruce McCrae. Flew B-29s to bomb Japan. That was Lynn Kingsley. Were among the first Americans to open and discover the horror camps of the Holocaust, and served in the OSS spy agency doing God knows what, and I won't tell you her name. And one college member flew P-51 fighters with the Tuskegee Airmen. That was Board of Trustees member Dr. Robert Garrison. And there was Jack Rice, serving as a radio man on a warship preparing for the invasion of Japan itself. An invasion called off because 2 atomic bombs ended the war. Jack told me also about his ship bombing a stubborn enemy submarine that, upon emerging, turned into a whale. I always told him he was a better fisherman than I was. My colleagues went about the business of teaching, living quiet, understated lives. They ate cafeteria lemon pie at my table. Gordy Martini was addicted. These were the common and everyday heroes who would have laughed at the word hero, but people who absolutely saved the world we live in from a hell we dare not imagine. There's no way we can honor them. The best we can do is remember.
MCC has also provided a token of our appreciation to Don. All right, will you please rise as the MCC Jaywalkers sing God Bless America.
The storm clouds gather far across the sea. Let us pledge allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America.
Please welcome Muskegon Community College's Vice President for Student Services, Dr. John Sulman.
Thank you. Boy, that was good, powerful, strong. And my role really is to just say thank you to everybody. Thank you for coming. Thanks to our committees, especially our Veterans Day Committee. We began work on this several months out. Well, maybe more than that, maybe more than several months out. And we worked together, a group of us, and we planned this event. And we want to make it very, very special each and every year. The committee this year, though, decided to reduce my time at the mic. Singing, I wanted to sing, and that got cut off, and then my closing remarks got cut off. So, but anyway, it was a great team of folks that we work with. I do want to recognize, the ROTC group. They may have taken off, but that is the ROTC group from Muskegon High School. We certainly want to thank them for being here and participating and raising the flag. To our 21-gun salute students here at Muskegon Community College, those individuals that took time out today, and Dan Myers for the taps, playing the taps, and the ensemble. Boy, that's some good stuff. I wish I could sing like that. But we certainly appreciate and recognize the dedication, the commitment, and the sacrifices, really, from our men and women of the armed services. And it's something we must never, ever forget. And we will never, ever forget that here at Muskegon Community College, which is why we dedicated a wall, memorial wall, a year ago. And you may have seen it coming down, but our student organization put that together a year ago, and that will be there hopefully forever. Which will recognize the contributions made by MCC students that are also veterans, and so we will never ever forget, those sacrifices and commitments that are made. So, and it is 12 o'clock. That has been our allotted time for this event. But we just gotta say this thanks. It's a powerful day. I mean, it's emotional and all the other things that go with it. But anyway, thanks for coming and being a part of this great ceremony with us.